And we are back at NASA 2019. Because that Earthbound run was so short, we decided to add a bonus run to the schedule. This is Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels. We're going to be doing 8-4 Warpless as Small Mario. Shoutouts to Team Boom Boom. In this particular run, we're only going to be going up through World 8, but we will be playing 32 of the game's 52 stages without collecting a single mushroom. And so with that, ready to begin anytime. All right, 3, 2, hang on. Start that over. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, Lost Levels. So this is the Japanese Super Mario Bros. 2, which took 7 years to be released in the States because US development companies thought that this game was too difficult for a Western audience. And to be fair, it is. It's very, very hard.
I can hear myself. Cool. So, I actually know more to this story. I forget why, but I was watching a Nintendo documentary. It turns out that back in the day when there was Nintendo Power, there was the characters Howard and Nestor, based off of the employees at Nintendo. And I believe one of the smaller of the two was playtesting a bunch of games. And when he played Super Mario Bros. 2, he was like, this doesn't feel like a sequel at all. And it's kind of hard. I don't like it. Compared to Super Mario Bros. 1. The first one's better. And then they actually gave him a copy of Doki Doki Panic. And he's like, well, I like this better. This feels like a Mario 2. So that's why they ported Doki Doki Panic as Super Mario Bros. 2, because he felt that it feels more like a sequel compared to this game. And he thought that one was too hard, but still, that's the story. I forget what documentary it's in, but there you go.
So we're gonna go for a super jump here, and we got it. So even though this game looks a lot like SMB1, there are some important physics differences. One of them is in the way that jumps are handled. Whenever you jump into an enemy, or jump on top of an enemy rather, in SMB1, the game sets Mario's upward speed to a specific value, whereas in this game it adds a value to Mario's speed. So if you can stomp on an enemy while having upward momentum, you can gain a tremendous amount of height. That's not a great start. Bad cycles. I also haven't run this game in a while, so hopefully we won't see too much slop. Bowser is very, very random in this game. Typically, with no power-ups, you'll just want to run underneath him. That can be a little bit complicated later, especially for the World 8 Bowser. My PB in this category is a 22 or 2440, which I actually got in the practice room at SGDQ 2017 before the relay. Oh yeah, this game has Kaizo blocks in it too. Isn't that lovely? The green springboards are new to SMB2J from the first game. They will let you hover over the stage for a while, and you're going to be seeing those a lot in World 7. So this next stage 2-2 is the first stage with true puzzle elements to it. There's gonna be a block puzzle that I'm gonna try to skip half of. Provided I don't scroll the screen too far. This looks good. Got the skip. There's a second block you're supposed to hit there, but it eats up a lot of time to do it that way. Typically about, I would say, 5 or 6 seconds. Other than that stage, World 2 is pretty straightforward. You might also be noticing that I'm trying to jump into the flagpole backwards. In this game only, if you jump into the flagpole backwards, Mario will appear on the opposite side of the flagpole when he slides down, and it saves a little bit of movement in getting to the castle. It saves roughly a frame rule every time you do it. So for those of you not familiar with how frame rules, Super Mario Bros. 1 and 2J operate on a 21 frame system, so that a level transition can only be, well, actually it's more than level transition, room transitions can only be loaded every 21 frames, so generally in this game you can only save time in increments of 21 frames. And yes, this does apply to the All-Stars version. World 3 is where the Hammer Brothers start showing up. Also, World 3 is where another element of this game that is particularly mean starts showing up, and those are negative warps. It is very easy to jump over the flagpole in this level using that green springboard, but if you do so, you will encounter a warp that will take you back to 1-1. Yes, there are several warps in this game that take you backwards. Bad blooper pattern. We hate underwater levels in this game, besides just because of underwater physics, but every underwater enemy you see is random. Bloopers have random behavior. All the Cheep Cheeps have random speeds, random spawns. Just everything in these underwater levels is random, and we do not like random. Wow, these are terrible patterns. Thanks, game. Also, the fireworks work a little bit differently in this game. You might notice I ended with a 6 on the timer, but I'm not going to get any fireworks. The reason why is because the firework chance is actually linked. The fireworks is linked between the 1's digit of your timer and the 1's digit of your coins. If those match, you'll get fireworks. So you want to be paying attention to your coin count and the end of your timer at all times. So this next castle 3-4 is the first maze level of the game. There are 2 maze levels. In these maze levels, you need to go a specific way through the castle to be able to actually complete the stage. In the Famicom version, you will not actually get any feedback on which way is the correct way unless you choose everything. Unless you choose everything properly. Whereas in the All-Stars version, you get this nice chime if you go the correct way. And you'll get a dummy buzzer-like sound if you go the wrong way. These invisible blocks are actually required to get to the correct path. All the Potobos and Firebar spawns in this game are camera-based, so if you go through the level at the same speed every time, you'll get the same spawns. But once you slow down, that's when RNG kicks in. So arguably, this game is actually much easier to speedrun than it is to play casually. World 4 is where the game starts to eclipse the difficulty of the original SMB. The reason why I hesitated there was to try to manipulate Lakitu's spiny pattern. Because if you go as fast as possible through that level, Lakitu will throw a spiny in a position that is extremely difficult to dodge. I am going to be picking up a star here for one particular piranha plant. I'll point it out when we get there. This one. You can do a pipe jump to get around him. But that particular hammer bro is pretty random. And I missed that cycle too. So overall, that was not a very good stage, but no deaths is okay. Alright, so 4-3 has a couple of blind jumps in it. And this is where the game stops messing around. That's a 3-frame window to make that jump, by the way. And there's another one that I'm going to be going for. Got them both. That 10-block wide gap is the maximum length that Mario can clear. There are actually two characters you can play as in this game, Mario and Luigi. Luigi jumps about a block higher than Mario does, but takes 4 times as long to stop. So Luigi is a very slippery character to play as. But most people who play this game casually can only beat this game as Luigi because some of the jumps as Mario are just barely possible, such as the ones in 4-3. I'm going to do a left-right with the... and I already messed up the cycle. That works, though. The slowdown that I did before the lava pit was actually to offset the Bowser fire, because if you go full speed, the fire bar that grazes the platform will contact you. This game, one of the reasons I like this game so much, let's not do that. One of the reasons why I like this game so much is because of how expertly designed it is. I think I have fallen into every single 1-block wide pit in this game. World 5 also introduces a new mechanic, the wind, which can help you make longer jumps, but it can also get in the way. Taking a game over is no big deal in the US version of the game, because whenever you take a game over, you can continue from the beginning of the stage that you're in, as opposed to the beginning of the world, and that was done to make this game more accessible to a Western audience. So there's a super jump you could go for here, but I'm not going to be, because it's extremely difficult to do as Mario. Get out of my way, Koopa. These invisible blocks are actually required to complete the stage otherwise. And when you're going for that super jump, it's very easy to hit one of them. If you are playing as Luigi, that super jump is made much easier due to the added jump height. So 5-2 has a fast strat at the beginning that I'm going to be going for that requires a precisely placed jump, and I did get it. Perfect. There are a couple of warp zones in that stage. Both of them surprisingly take you forward. One if you go above the level, past where the goal pipe is will take you to World 7, and then there's a vine earlier in the stage that will take you to World 8. Okay, so 5-3. Alright, that's one of the more difficult pieces of platforming in the game, because in order to get into that pipe optimally requires a 3-frame jump, and these bullet bills can get in your way too. Yeah, I'm dead. And also, there's no checkpoints in this level. And you're beginning to see why this game is so difficult. This game can even bring the best runners to their knees. That's better. Like, even the best players have a very difficult time getting deathless runs on command. This is probably my favorite stage in the game. This stage is practically designed for a speedrun. It's that you might need to slow down there depending on your firebar position, or depending on your camera position. But the rest of this level you can just speed through, it's great. Once you slow down though, this level starts getting very difficult. Okay, Bowser, you not scare me, please? So World 6 also has some very tricky hammer positions. If you aren't doing that as Small Mario only, you can actually do a pipe clip off of that block, which saves a little bit of time. Now this jump you need to be very careful about because the wind there activates at a very inconvenient time. And you can wind up overshooting that platform if you're not prepared for the wind, and you'll just sail right into the drink. Oh, 6-2. At least we don't have to play the letter levels in this category, because the letter levels are just a nightmare. Also, the farther you get into the game, the later the checkpoints get. We actually just passed the checkpoint for this level, and it's about 2/3 of the way through. Get out of there, please, Blooper. Thank you. There are so many enemies in these stages that a lot of them actually despawn. If you pull this game up in a level editor, you'll see just how many extra enemies there are that never show up because they're just never loaded since this game having been ported from being ported from the NES system has a pretty strict sprite limit. This level and I have a bit of a history. Hopefully that history doesn't get repeated. Good. Those fish were trying, too. So 6-4, this is the other maze castle, and this is probably the most difficult. Well, no, it's the second most difficult castle in 8-4 Warpless. That did not go according to plan. Got the frame at least. Didn't slow down in time. So the way through this castle is actually pretty easy to figure out. You just have to take the worst possible path. And also, once you hit World 6, Bowser starts throwing hammers, so jumping over him is no longer a real option. So in this stage, we're going to be grabbing a star here, because this removes a significant amount of RNG from this level. Not only are the Hammer Brothers placed in more awkward positions starting in this world, but in World 7, now they start charging at you. So you can't just wait for them to... So if you don't have a way to deal with them, you can't just wait for the first safe opportunity. You have to just take the first opportunity they give you, because they're just a mess. And speaking of messes, pretty much every level from this point forward is going to be a giant mess. Such as this one. If you don't hit Lakitu on the right side of his... that was not what I wanted to do. That was an unintended super jump. If you do not hit Lakitu on the right half of his sprite, he will throw a Spiny on the same frame that you kill him, and it will be a double KO. There's not too much to say about this level. I'm just going to let this level speak for itself. Maintaining your momentum on these green springboards is very difficult. I think that's good for the early cycle. It is. Good, that was a perfect 7-3. As you can see, that level is incredibly stressful. And now 7-4 is the hardest castle in the game. At least in this category. There is another castle in the letter categories that's quite a bit more challenging. And I did not enter on the correct frame rule, so that fire bar was too far over to the one side. Nice Kaizo block, by the way. I think I might actually pass on the early cycle this time. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm just going to pass on the early cycle for now. There's an early platform cycle you can go for there. And now that I'm on a different frame rule that I'm used to, all the firebar patterns are going to be different. So this Bowser is probably the most frustrating Bowser in the game. because that fire bar is in the worst possible spot to go underneath him. The Bowser throws hammers, and he can just sit there and waste 20-30 seconds of your time. It's a terrible, terrible stage, and in D4 Warpless, you have to do it twice, because this castle repeats in World C. Alright, so World 8. That's a 3-frame jump right there. There's another one that you can do coming up that I'm not going to be going for. You would do it right here. What I did to spawn that Hammer Brother favorably was I did a camera manipulation to make sure that the bullet bills would not spawn in an unwanted place. So a Deathless 8-1 is perfectly fine. I'll take it. 8-2 is a very unusual level in that the goal is not on the same level as the exit. Oh. There's that. Because the game can only have one power-up sprite on the screen, it actually it doesn't despawn the vine, but it despawns the graphic, but the vine is still there. Alright, 8-3. This is another level that's much easier to do speedrunning than it is casually. By the way, I just dodged 2 invisible poison mushroom blocks. If you don't jump early, you will run into them. And there are invisible blocks here that are necessary for completion of the stage, because that's clearly fair. And now we're coming up on the final castle of the game, 8-4. This castle also has maze elements to it, just like the original 8-4, in which where if you take a wrong pipe, you'll be sent back to an earlier point in the stage. Also about that point about just running off a platform, there is no input buffer in this game. So if you press a button 1 frame too late, it feels like your input just gets eaten is what happens. This is a very tricky jump, by the way. That is it didn't get P-speed. I'm not surprised this is how this run has gone, though, considering how out of practice I am. You do need to run underneath that fire bar, otherwise it won't count. And that one's very finicky. If you are not on the bottom tile, then it will not count. By the way, this is the last screen in the game, so get ready on time soon. Time is when I touch the axe. Time. Hey, underestimate. Considering I haven't done a run of this game in almost 12 months, I'll take that. Thank you for letting me do this. I'm sorry the run was not as good as I should have made it look, but it's okay. Considering how rusty I am at this game.